Hi guys, it's Michelle here. I'm in Calthorpe Park with Katie. She's over there. And we're trying to do our wavelength video for you. So far we've had a bit of excitement. Here she is.
Hello, it's a very sunny day in Birmingham and Michelle and I are in the park and we thought we'd talk to you about our experience on wavelength.
Yay!
Hurrah! So I'm talking to Michelle today about how we've involved parents in the project and why that's important. So Michelle, like what would you say has been our approach in like involving parents over the last 3 years?
Well, parents have always been really welcome. Right from the beginning, it wasn't you're in or you're out. It was parents could come and go as they wanted to.
Yes.
Some people come and join us and have joined us for most sessions. Some people have just popped in every so often.
Yeah, so it's sort of been up to the kids, hasn't it? The young people, like what sort of involvement they want their parents to have. And
we had, when lots of parents were waiting, we used to quite often perform to them at the very end as well.
Yeah,
which was
that's really
nice.
nice.
So that's always a nice way of involving them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's changed a little bit over the last 3 years. It's not the same now as it was back in 2015.
Well done. You can count.
Yeah, I can count.
Yeah, so what would you say, like, how has it changed then over the last 3 years? Like, what was it like in year one?
We had a very different group in year one than we have now, which it's fantastic in every single way. It just gives a different experience. And I think when we first started, everything was we were all figuring out how the project was working as well, and it was really valuable, especially valuable at that time, having parental input.
Yeah.
Because it meant when there were silences, then there was a parent who was willing to.
And I guess because at that point there hadn't been a history of young people doing it over the first year, so they needed like a little bit more sort of input sometimes.
It was the first year, and it was quite a small group in the group sessions, whereas now we have lots of people coming. So the parents were very much on a par with the young people, and when we were in that safe space, it was a safe space, and everybody just got involved as much as they could in the same way. And then in the performances as well at the end of the year, it's exactly the same. The parents
involved.
got completely involved, and especially in that first year that we really actually needed them. We really needed their help.
So how's that changed then in second year and third year as well?
Well, second year it was like the project kind of had a rebirth, wasn't it? The way that we structured it changed, and I think we're on a really good system now. There was more people joined, there was a completely different atmosphere, a completely different buzz, but still parents were completely welcome. And I think for the young people, some really wanted their parents to be there and wouldn't have come to the project if the parent hadn't have been there. So I think that's really important that we had that option. Otherwise, we could have, we've seen some fantastic journeys.
Yeah,
and we wouldn't have had that if the parent hadn't been allowed.
Sort of been flexible, hasn't it, to how the young person wants to work. Like, if they work better with a parent in the room, then that's been the way that it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's great, because some projects maybe just
shut them out.
Like parents, are not involved.
No, we didn't want them to feel banished to the kitchen.
It's good to have cups of tea in the kitchen.
They can have cups of tea in the kitchen.
Okay, so that's year two. What about year three?
Year three, it's been really interesting this year, hasn't it? This year we've been trying to challenge the parents a little bit more as well. So rather than always just supporting their own young people, we've done a little bit of work with parents outside of the group, which I think is really important because first of all, so they can kind of demonstrate all the stuff that they've learned.
Yeah,
because they've learned loads. Too, yeah. We've got bass players, we've got techno kind of like experts. It's amazing. So they've learned loads. So I think it's really important that they can try and show their skills, and which in turn gave the young people a little bit of space to see how they could cope without having their parent in the room, which is a good progression as we go through, I think.
Yeah. And why, like, in your opinion, is it important for like parents to be involved in projects?
Well, it's a journey. It's a huge journey that everyone's been on, and I think there's several reasons. Firstly, because especially in a mental health setting, we want people to feel as comfortable as possible. So if the way that they feel comfortable is having their parent there, then we have to enable that to. Especially when you're putting yourself into a really vulnerable situation. Songwriting is scary.
It's really scary.
Playing music, it's really it can make you feel really vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary for us, and we've done it for
forever.
a really long time. Yeah, but sort of putting yourself out there and having your own opinions about the music, like being able to articulate that, or being put in a position where you should articulate something about, about that is really difficult.
It's really difficult in any circumstance. So I think it's really important for the young people to feel like they can have their parent there if needed. Likewise, I think it's really important that there is space for the young people to try and progress without having their parent, to see how much of their comfort zone they can kind of get out of, and how far they can push themselves. And I think the best thing about the project is because it's been a long-term thing. It's you're able to do that in a nice organic way, rather than saying, right, by next week you have to be doing this on your own, or this has to be happening. And also I think it's really important for the parents just to be able to witness their young person's journey. We've seen some amazing things, and it's just really nice to see parents so happy when something happens, and they know their young person more than we do, so they also know when something might be a magical moment. Yeah,
it's probably quite nice for a parent who's with their young person for their whole life to just maybe step back and witness them in a new environment, being able to sort of take control over their own things and sort of relate to new people in a new setting,
and do all the things that you might not have thought they could do.
And actually the parent can sit back for a bit and allow that to happen with music leaders and volunteers and people and the shadows who can just be there and support, and the parent can sit back.
And I think also it's nice for the parents to kind of have their own bond as well. Everyone's in the same situation in some way, shape or form. And we've had Joe as well from the home group who's been there offering extra support. So
alright. Well, there we go. Alright. Thanks for listening if you got this far.
Bye.
Bye. Let's start again.
No, come on.
No.